Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. This commentary is pertaining to Sean Grayson, road cop. Sonia Massey's mom asks for non-combative cops. We now get information that a call was made from her home pertaining to her daughter, her welfare. So we have a few calls made pertaining to her needing help. She called herself and had left home the day before her murder. And that same day that she had left on her own to go to the hospital, her mother also had made a call pertaining to her welfare. We're going to hear a little bit of that information. CBS News is the source. Thank you all so much for joining me. Have a wonderful week.
Harrowing, newly released recordings in the deadly police shooting of Sonia Massey. She's the Illinois woman killed by a sheriff's deputy earlier this month after calling for help about a possible prowler at her home. The recordings obtained by CBS News include a 911 call from Massey's mother, pleading for non-combative officers to be sent to her daughter's home. CBS's Charlie DeMar now with the disturbing new developments. We do want to warn you, the video report is disturbing.
I heard somebody outside.
911 calls and dispatch audio are giving the fullest look yet at what happened to Sonia Massey on July 5th and 6th. Records appear to show she was experiencing a prolonged mental health episode. Her mother, Donna, called for help.
The mental people told me to call 911.
That was at 9:09 a.m., 16 hours before she was shot.
We don't get no combative policemen that are prejudiced, please. They're scary. I'm scared of the police. Sometimes they make the serious bit worse.
Then Massey herself called 911 just before 1 p.m. and called again early the next morning after she heard what she thought was a prowler outside her home.
3 calls.
I'm hearing stuff on the outside of my house, and it sounds like somebody was banging on the side of my house. I don't know. I'll get y'all come and see.
Officer Sean Grayson and his partner were dispatched. The encounter with police escalated quickly. Body cam video clearly captured Officer Sean Grayson shooting Massey in her kitchen.
Headshot wounded the female. Headshot wounded the female. Units on scene are 1078 shots fired.
But later, dispatchers can be heard saying they were told Massey died due to a self-inflicted wound.
They're now saying self-inflicted.
The Massey family accuses the department of trying to cover up the cause of her death by claiming it was a self-inflicted gunshot.
He needs to go to jail for life. I don't want to see him in public ever again, honestly.
The Sangamon County Sheriff says former Deputy Sean Grayson admits to the shooting at least twice on body camera video and that there was never any confusion over how Sonia Massey died, and nor the department also denying those claims of a cover-up.
Charlie DeMar, thank you very much.
CBS News is the source. Very interesting information. This usually happens with true crime. You get a little bit of this, you get a little bit of that. So we have 911 calls made pertaining to Miss Massey's health, wellness, mental wellness. So you hear that she's called twice. The mom called. The mom calls to let them know she's having a crisis. Please don't send combative cops. So now you have to ask if she has had any type of mistreatment and or episodes while dealing with the police in Springfield. No way you can not ask that question, because a person would say, well, why would you ask for non-combative cops? So has she had issues with police not understanding her, not comprehending her, and or any type of negative commentary, brushing her off? Will we hear that there have been several phone calls, or numerous, made to the Sheriff's Department on behalf of Miss Massey, either by herself, family members, children, whomever? How many calls have been made to the Sheriff's Department pertaining to this woman's health? As I asked all the questions before, who is this woman? When was she diagnosed with a mental disorder? Did she ever have any problems with neighbors? Walking around disoriented. Somebody had to call to say, hey, she doesn't know where she is or where she's going, whether she has a mental illness, and we don't really know what it is. Someone said schizophrenia on this Dr. Grant's program, but I haven't heard it mentioned from her family, so I don't like putting something out without hearing it from them first. Whatever the issue was, how deep are we talking? Because what's interesting is everybody had spoke her death into existence without even knowing it. This is why I always tell you, you have to be very careful what you speak and what you claim. It's in the scripture. It's in Psalms. Some of you may not believe in the Bible, but I do. You speak it and you're claiming it. This is why you have to be very careful what you say. Just think about what was said in the less than 24 hours pertaining to this woman. Number one, we have the mother saying to the 911 dispatch that I fear cops. I'm afraid of cops. Okay, so why does the mother fear cops? Has she had run-ins with police, any type of legal trouble? Is it because of her daughter's issues, family issues, children issues, grandchildren issues? So you always have to go into the belly of the beast, because when people say certain things, there's a reason why they're saying it. So what type of issues have these people had with the police? They live in a white town. Are the people racist? Do they mistreat the black people there? What are we talking about? Because maybe this is deeper than just some road cop shooting a black woman. Maybe it's deeper. I don't know. Just asking all the questions. So why did the mother say she's afraid of the cops? And when you watch her on the news, she's very sad looking, of course, because her child's been murdered. But she seems just, I don't know, it's something about the mother. Just my discerning spirit. It's something about the mother. Just, I don't know, been tugging at me. Looking at her, she cries, of course. It's her child, she's supposed to cry. But it's something about that mother that's been tugging at me the past couple of days. Maybe one day I'll speak on it, but I won't speak on it right now. I choose my words very carefully on this platform. But anywho, how many times has anyone, have people called pertaining to her welfare? Because I'd like to know the number. I'd also like to know how was she dealt with, because that's going to matter as well. We also learned she went to the hospital. She's supposed to stay for 30 days, but they let her go after 2. What was the issue? Was it medical finances? She didn't have appropriate medical care, or they thought, well, there's nothing really wrong with her. Send her back home. Well, there's something wrong with her. That's why she checked herself in. What was really going on with her? But they asked all those questions. Don't send combative cops. So now, think about everything that's been said. Speaking everything into existence. Speak it and it shall be so. That's what the Bible says. So you say, don't send the combative cops. That's what you got. You hear her telling him at the door, Miss Massey, she was scared. I had to replay that a few times to hear that conversation. She was scared. So we got a mother scared. We got Miss Massey scared. And I do believe Grayson sensed that something was off with her, because he asked her about her mental state when they were standing there in the doorway. So he got a feeling about Miss Massey. Some could say, and why did he act out? I don't know. You have to ask Mr. Grayson. I can't speak for him. This complex is putting it mildly in pertaining to this debacle. Don't send combative cops. Lord have mercy. I just want you to think about that. Don't send combative cops. Or she said, don't send the non-combative cops. And look what showed up. Some would say, yeah, he was combative. Some are also saying that the other guy should be charged. I said, well, we're about to have a repeat of Derek Chauvin and George Floyd, part 2. He drew his gun as well. So should he be at fault, or he didn't pull the trigger? Some say he should be charged as well. You're entitled to your opinion. Miss Massey tells him she's scared. But she's saying she was scared of the cops, so she was scared of what she thought was outside the house. And nothing was found. No one was found lurking about around her house. I won't doubt that this was her mind telling her that somebody was out there banging on the house or noises she thought she heard. But that's a terrible place to be, is to have a mental problem people can't understand. And people do grow short with people with mental issues. I've seen it happen. Trust me. If I could tell you some things right now, you'd be like, damn, Queen. I see it all the time. The malfunctions, the people with mental issues, probably schizophrenia. I'm seeing it every day in my own demographic. And the one thing I keep trying to tell people is that when people come across people with mental problems, they don't necessarily have to know there's something wrong with them. Because if it's a stranger, and I'm not speaking of her situation, just speaking in general terms, people don't know. You just assume, oh, well, he's talking to himself. She's talking to herself. She must be crazy is the word they use. She must be crazy. Something wrong with her or him talking to themselves. Who are they talking to? Of course, a lot of us talk to ourselves. It's just we don't answer. But that's the one thing I want people to always remember with people with mental disorders is that everyone does not know they are mental. And so when people act out, the person, it's up to you to decide, okay, well, they're mental or they're just mad or they're angry or are they bitter? Because a lot of people don't know how to deal with people, period. As they say, we all got a little something wrong with us, but my goodness, just food for thought. Because there are a lot of people who out here who are walking about and they do need to be somewhere, but there's nowhere to house them. That's the thing that people don't understand about a mental disorder. They don't have state hospitals anymore. And most of these doctors, they probably feel that a lot of these people can function on their own. That's why she was on her own. But see, I am still questioning why she was on her own. That needs to be addressed as well. Cannot just push everything under the rug. Why was this lady living alone? Because I don't think she should have been alone. But see, that's the thing about diagnosis. She checked herself in somewhere at this hospital, East St. Louis or whatever, or St. Louis, and she was only there for 2 days. So why did they send her out? Why didn't they keep her for 30 days? And see, that goes back to what I keep saying, that when you're grown, when you're dealing with grown people, you can't make somebody grown act right. You know what I'm saying? You can't say, well, take your meds. You better take your meds. Because she did mention that as well. So she's on medications. What was she on? How many meds did she take daily? Were they helping? Obviously not. See, there's a lot that you can ascertain from her situation because we don't know everything. So everything's just, we're just getting little trickles of information pertaining to Sonya Massey. But I think that needs to be addressed because I chop up everything about a story. I don't just weigh in on what everybody thinks should be the focus because that's not the story. The story is the beginning. A lot of people don't like to start at the beginning. We know that she was murdered. That's not anything to question. Some will say she wasn't. You're entitled to your opinion. But the point I'm trying to make is that Sonya Massey didn't just fall out of a cabbage patch. And that needs to be addressed, the mental issue, because you see, you can't have one without the other. The mental illness needs to be addressed because we have mentally ill people out here. And if people don't know that they're ill or they don't know how to deal with them, you're going to continue to have these kind of problems. You're going to continue to have rogue cops because we see in this situation, he shouldn't have been hired. So you see, it's one thing begets another because every part of this story has a beginning. She didn't need to be alone. That's obvious. Okay? He didn't need to be hired as a cop. He shouldn't have been able to even go through training. This is why I always tell people to go back and look at a story and you can nitpick how the story unfolded. I think about the George Floyd situation all the time. People want to go jump on a bandwagon and talk, ill about who he was and what he was doing. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There is a way of dealing with people. You see, everything was a cause and effect. You allow somebody to come back in the store who you think is past fake money. Let's go there. So all you had to do was tell the people, don't come back in here. Stay woke, everybody. Don't come back in here. Don't come back in here with that fake money. Your friend came in with fake money. I want you to leave the store. How that should have ended. Leave the store. Don't stand around the store. Don't want to see you near the store. So that would have been on George Floyd and his friends to say, okay, they're going to call the cops. We better get out of here. Because I always found that story strange. Why were they still hanging around? Who hangs around if allegedly it's a fake, fake money being exchanged? And anyway, you're supposed to have a marker when you're marking money. Don't you mark the money? So that should have never even happened the first time for money to be passed fraudulently. So you start off with this allegations of fake money. Hello, Athena. Hi, baby. You start off with this issue of fake. I'm not trying to jump off the subject, but what I'm trying to show you is cause and effect. How cause and effect is why we end up in the situations that we end up in. You start off with allegations about fake money, round one. Round two, George comes back with the money again. Okay? All you had to do was say, hey, we realized the first bill your friend passed was fake. You can't buy anything out of here. We want you to leave the property. We don't want you to come around the property. Leave. So then that would have been on George to still hang around. But in the end, when the cops get to the scene, how they deal with George, that's a whole different situation. His issue was he didn't want to get into the car. He was a big guy, claustrophobic. Naturally, he don't want to go to jail. Common sense. Doesn't matter if he was on drugs, meth, heroin, weed. It doesn't matter. It's a way of handling things. That's the point I'm trying to make here. It's how you handle the situation. No matter what you heard before you got to the scene, no matter what you're seeing at the scene, wasn't a need for this man to end up dead. People are doped up, high, drunk every damn day, and the police is called on them, and they don't end up dead, strangled, suffocated, hanging from a cell. You see where I'm going? That's my point. Cause and effect. You got to have a jump off, a start. This is why we have all these crazy ass cases, because we're dealing with crazy humans. You don't choke somebody out because you don't like what they said. Hey, get out of the car. Hey, get out of the car. No, I don't want to get out of the car. So what do? Just shoot them? You're supposed to be trained on how to subdue a person. That's what needs to be taught. How to handle a situation. How to de-escalate a situation. And that is where we have the problems right now, period, in the world. In the world. De-escalating. Because everything has a jump off. Now, I don't know what could have happened different in that situation, in that house. I don't know. Because as I told you, with somebody dealing with water running, holding a pot, tasing a person, I mean, you're talking about electricity, she could have got electrocuted, we'd still be talking about a crazy situation. And that's the thing, you can't go back. That's the moral of the story. Because that's what everybody's doing right now, is role playing. Oh, what he should have done, what they should have done. Well, they didn't. And you can't go back now. So that's the point, is to think first. Instead of jumping off. And right now, that's his defense. He felt like, hey, this lady was going to do something. And I tried to think about everybody's mindset at the time, which, as I said, you can't go back. What was she thinking? What was he thinking? What was the other cop thinking? Like, damn, this is getting out of control here. He done threw his damn gun. Now I'm drawing my gun. Somebody say the other cop should have said, come on, ma'am, just put the pot down. Just put the pot down. We don't need to get it. We ain't trying to get it crunk in here. Just Just, put the pot down, back away from the sink. All because of a comment is why we're here today. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I just want you to think about that. Now, everybody's taking their own connotation on what that means. But as I put on my community page, would you feel the same way if you're feeling negatively about Mr. Grayson? Would you feel negative about him if you had not heard he has this past of, being let out of the Army, not following instructions at the Logan County Sheriff's Office, lying on reports, harassing detainees or people a woman he was chasing? If he had none of those things in his background, would you still feel negatively about him and the shooting of Miss Massey? Just a question. Wow. This is some deep, what? I swear it is. Like, what in God's name is going on? Okay, we're going to play a little more information for you all. So we now know the mom called as well. So why did the mom call? Because I'm wondering if Sonya called her mom saying something. Because now we're talking about 16 hours. So that's a stretch. I want everybody to pay attention. That's why I kept saying, don't take just a piece of the story and just plummet it. You got to go to the belly of the beast. And that's the place that people don't like to go. It's to know everything, to how we got to this point of her being murdered. 16 hours, that's a long ass time for people to be calling 911. I just want you to pay attention. 16 hours, that is almost a whole day. So calls were coming in the day before in the AM. That's why I keep trying to tell you, she shouldn't have been alone. But the flip side is when you're grown, there's nowhere to put grown people that are mentally ill. There's nowhere to put them. So she's living on her own and she's having a crisis. And then there's nobody there with her. She needs somebody there to say, hey, there's nobody outside. Hey, there's nobody banging on the house. There's nobody banging on the door. And the flip side is that there's not going to always be somebody around. Her children weren't there. They were gone for a certain reason, which we hear is because of her mental illness. It's just really sad, okay? This lady had no business being alone, and that needs to be addressed because you're going to keep having these types of problems, as I'm trying to make people understand. If you don't deal with people that's mentally ill, you don't really know the synopsis of everything. Because there's going to be people that's going to pass people that's mentally ill and they don't know that they're ill. So they don't know, why they're popping off and they're talking to themselves and God forbid they grab a weapon and then you're confronted with them. So then you got to ask yourself, if you were in the situation right now, walking down the hallway of your, let's say your apartment building, your condo building, and then somebody's talking to themselves in the hallway, then they pull out a knife. What are you supposed to do? Start talking to them? Hey, please put that knife down. Hey, please put the knife down. You understand what I'm saying? I always try to make you think because critical thinking is needed. Because a lot of people just can't think. At what point do you say in this scenario, well, I don't know him or her, but they got a knife in their hand. Now, how do I get myself out of this situation? Well, you're going to try to defend yourself, are you not? Just saying. A lot of people don't realize, oh, somebody's mentally ill. So if they grab a weapon, you don't know them from a can of paint. So now it's up to you to defend yourself. But then somebody else will come in once the fiasco's taking place, a fight, a cut, or somebody ends up dead. First thing somebody will say is, well, she don't normally act like that, or he don't normally act like that. I don't know why he grabbed a knife. Well, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. They grabbed it. And the stranger is being confronted. They don't know they got mental problems. And that's the point. They're not supposed to know because it's a stranger. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You got all these people walking around that are ill and they're sick, and you don't know when they're going to pop off, when they're going to do anything. I'm not saying this is her situation. I'm just speaking in general. This mental illness needs to be addressed. And I don't know what the fix is going to be because, as I just said, people are grown. You can't make grown people do what you think they should do. You can't make them take their medicine. There's nowhere to house mentally ill people. So they're walking around people ready for the pop-off. That's the scary part. It's that they're walking around and there's nowhere to put them. Because these doctors probably feel like, oh, they can live on their own just as long as they take their meds. They're okay. But see, what people don't understand about mental illness, let's say schizophrenia, if they're hearing voices, the voice will tell them to do anything. The voice will tell them to do anything. And you're sitting up here confronted by a person who may normally be a nice person. But on this day, they've got a knife, a bat, whatever the weapon may be. And they're looking at you like you're the enemy, but you don't know that they have a mental disorder. So at that moment, when you're in that situation, you're trying to fight for your life. You know what I'm saying? You don't know they're ill. That's what people to think about that, because that's what's happening a lot with people with schizophrenia and have some type of mental disorders. The voices out here telling them to do all type of crazy stuff. But you as a random person that don't know them, you're just walking by and now you're caught in a very dire situation. You having to fight for yourself. But when something pops off, let's say they end up killing you or you kill them, first thing you're going to hear is somebody say, well, they were normally a nice person, but they had a mental problem. Well, that don't explain that dead person over there. They're dead. Who's going to explain that to their family? And are people going to care that a person is mentally ill and they, let's say, unalive the person? I don't know what the remedy is, but it's bad because I see this all the time right now. There are a lot of people walking around. I'm talking about people right around me right now as I speak. They have no business alone. They have no business with a key to an apartment or a house. They have no business with a key to an automobile. None. They don't need to be alone, because what's going to happen is somebody's going to come across them and they're going to be acting out, and the people are not going to care that they're mentally ill, because that's the point. People don't have to care. That's okay for people that know them to say, oh yeah, she's got a disorder, he's got a disorder. But what about the strangers that don't know? And you're seeing a lot of that now. The people having episodes and people don't know that they're mentally ill. Such as like if a cop go to a house, we've seen a lot of that. The people grab a gun, a knife. We just had a story of that happen here in Knoxville. Police shot the lady dead in her house. And you didn't hear them getting arrested. Feel free to check out the story, because it just happened a few weeks ago. Didn't make the news. Didn't make national news that I've heard. Somebody in the house called and said she was acting out. Police show up, because I wanted to see. I said, let me see how far they were from her, that they shot her up the way they did. And all those people are on administrative leave, and you ain't heard no national story of brutality. So did those officers know that this woman had mental issues? What did the people say to the dispatch? And that's what needs to be revealed here. Did they get any inkling on the call to go to her house that they knew she was a 1096? Because Mr. Grayson says near the end of the video of, on the body cam, he called dispatch to ask. So I'm wondering if he did not know. Will we find out that's fraudulent? Very interesting. Let's get some more information. There's a lot coming out now. Lord have mercy. It's just really, really sad. Let's hear about the high-speed chase. It's just as crazy, too. Is he just a guy that didn't like to take orders from anyone? Sean Grayson.
Church will host a community healing and listening session, giving friends and neighbors a chance to mourn the loss of Sonia Massey.
The Springfield mother was shot to death by a now fired sheriff's deputy after she called 911 for help. Meanwhile, our Dave Savini has uncovered new details about that officer's past. And Dave, there are serious questions about why he was hired multiple times.
Erica and Joe, CBS News has uncovered notes from one of Grayson's former police chiefs during a reference check for his next police job. It was a warning of the trouble Grayson had already caused, and it doesn't stop there. Another supervisor said he failed to obey orders, especially during the high-speed chase you're about to see.
The red flags and warning signs were there prior to Deputy Grayson firing those fatal shots into Sonia Massey.
I'm trying to get help.
A woman home alone who called police for help over a possible intruder, but instead ended up with Deputy Sean Grayson.
Doing what?
Grayson, who's now charged with her murder, had a troubled career that began with a stint in the Army, a discharge for misconduct, then followed by more accusations of misconduct.
We checked the front yard.
During his time in law enforcement, described as having trouble obeying orders.
Right into 2nd Street, she's taking it out right.
Like with what happened here at his 5th police job when he refused an order by a superior at the Logan County Sheriff's Department to terminate a high-speed chase over a traffic infraction, his speed at times reaching 110 miles per hour.
I'm about to terminate. She's flying up 121 right now.
But Grayson didn't stop. He did, however, turn off his lights and siren, but kept going anyways until he hit a deer.
Well, I'll definitely be terminated because a buck just smacked the side of my driver's side door.
Did you violate a direct order from a supervisor about termination?
Yes, I did.
Grayson was questioned by a deputy chief and other top staff after that crash in Logan County.
Do you agree, before we conclude this, that there's a mountain of policy violations? Something that you committed 7 months on. How are you still employed by us?
Wow.
Yet he continued to get a pass over and over again. Even during the Logan County hiring process of Grayson, there were warning signs from another past employer, the Auburn, Illinois Police Department, where he worked in 2022. CBS News obtained these notes from a discussion between the Auburn chief and a representative from Logan County, where Grayson had applied for a new job. It states the Auburn chief said Grayson struggles with report writing, that he was very aggressive with getting drugs. The chief expressed concern that Grayson was too aggressive, and that Grayson posted his drug arrest on Facebook, and the chief called him a bragger and was not great with evidence, left items laying around office.
The entire thing makes me sick.
Sangamon County board member Mark Ayers is on the jail committee that authorizes the hiring of new sheriff deputies. He says he was never informed of any negative notes about Grayson prior to hire, and his background was not shared with the committee.
I would never bring on someone that had that troubled past with that record.
As we have been reporting, Grayson worked for 6 police agencies since 2020, ending with Sangamon County, where he was entrusted to help residents in need, like Sonia Massey. Board members Ayers said he wants changes in the hiring and screening process, along with a background review of all current sheriff deputies. Eric and Joe, there's going to be a lot of aftermath here.
Right. All right.
Yes, CBS Chicago's the source. Exactly. See, now it started off a week ago. Sangamon County said, well, I don't know of anything. I don't know of any past discrepancies in his work history. Now we have 2 people giving police writing was not up to par. He didn't know how to take notes, writing the reports properly, leaving evidence around. He was aggressive when getting drugs. What does that mean? You mean off the people? I don't understand. What do you mean getting the drugs? He was aggressive. Like what? Search and seizure? I don't understand what you're saying. That's the same thing they said about him in Logan, with Logan County. Don't know how to write a report, writing false information, lying, basically. Let's not sugarcoat it. Lying. Lisa, I don't understand what you're saying. You can't expect a cop to be a shrink, and a shrink can't be a cop. So I don't understand where you're trying to go. If they didn't know she was a 1096, you want them to do what? They don't have psychiatrists on call. they're going to recommend they go to the hospital. That's usually what they do, from my understanding, in most jurisdictions. Nobody's calling a social worker because you're having an episode. So I don't understand what you're saying. If they think a person is having an episode, they know that they're mentally ill. They know to call the EMTs to say, oh, this person needs to go to the hospital. They need to be checked in for the mental staff, ward, or whatever at the hospital. So we have two agencies saying Grayson was a problem. Auburn and now Logan County. Well, it was Logan County, now Auburn, rather. So we got an aggressive cop, aggressively getting drugs, not writing correct information in the reports, lying in reports, defying an order, chasing after this woman, turning off his lights. He knew what he was doing. So this issue here with Massey shows a pattern. Why was the camera off? Or, yeah, webcam not on. I thought that was weird. I say webcam, but body cam, excuse me. Why was the camera off? I think he just didn't give a fuck. I don't even think it's even a racial issue. If it is, I don't know. In the end, it's not going to matter because one person's dead. She can't tell you nothing. And he ain't going to tell you he's a racist. That's the last thing Grayson is going to do. You're going to have to get somebody to come out from the past to say, yeah, I've seen him have problems with black people. He's talking bad about blacks, Mexicans, Jews, so on and so forth. But right now, it looks like to me, it does not matter who you are because the other people who he was chasing, I don't know if that was a white woman, a black woman, I don't even know who it is. But to me, he's messy. That's what I see with Grayson. And to me, that's the worst type of man. I don't care if he was a cop or not. That's the worst type of man, a messy-ass man. A messy man going into jail, bothering a detainee for what? It's not your job to be in there bothering the people that's in custody. Your job is to deal with the people, civilians on the street, not in the jail. They have people in the jail to deal with the people once they're arrested. That's why I found that information troublesome. Quite troublesome. What are you doing in the jail messing with some guy? So the girl, the lady you hear them speaking of right here on the chase, allegedly she says there was some type of inappropriate interaction between she and he. What that is, I do not know if it's true or not. But it ain't going to look good because then we got the boyfriend saying, oh, well, yeah, he came over here bothering me about her, telling him, he said, she said stuff about who bonded her out of jail and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, what is going on? Are you hanging with these people? Because how would you know any of this stuff? This is ridiculous to me. Hey, Flora. It just looks like to me, Grayson is just what I said, a messy-ass man. He's unhappy. He's bitter. He's miserable. He don't have a direction in life. And a lot of people don't. Hell, he's 30. That's to be expected. 30-year-old man who didn't have no damn direction. But he was all over the place. But you're talking about aggression, inappropriateness with a woman, going to the jail, bothering a detainee, lying in reports, going on a chase when you were told to stop. Leaving evidence around. There's probably a reason he was doing that too, especially if it was drugs. So it could find its way out of the precinct, perhaps. I don't know. Because what else are we going to hear? Because I'm waiting to hear that. Evidence was missing. That's next on the list. Because now you're taking it to a whole new level when you say, oh, well, he's lying in reports. He's not truthful in reports. Oh, yeah, he's leaving evidence out. Why would you be leaving evidence out for what? That makes no sense. You leaving it out unless you want to take something from the evidence. How about that? That's why it's left out. Is that what we're going to hear next? Evidence is missing from the evidence room. So now the Department of Justice has no choice but to get involved in not just the investigation on him shooting her, Miss Massey. They need to investigate, and I'm assuming they will, Mr. Sean Grayson. because I think the rabbit hole is about to get a little bit deeper. And I'm sure he knows that sitting in that jail. Lord, what else are they going to dig up on me? And I'm sure his lawyer is keeping him abreast of everything that's going on, audio being spilled about this chase, the reprimands, and it's embarrassing. Because these are things that people are hoping that nobody's going to hear. Oh, they're never going to hear I was reprimanded at Auburn Sheriff Department or Logan County Sheriff Department. Oh, but it's out now. And it makes him look bad. Makes him look really, really bad. So are we going to hear that he profiled Black people, Mexicans, Hispanics? Are we going to hear he called people racial slurs? Are we also going to hear that things went missing from people that were arrested? Evidence from the evidence room missing? Are we going to hear that he's stolen things? Because that looks like that's what's coming up next. Because each day there's something new coming out pertaining to this food. It's just crazy. Hold on a minute. This girl over here is about to make me go off. See, so I hate dealing with people. I'm trying to get something off of Marketplace, and this ad said she sold them. I don't have time for this nonsense. Every day it's like babysitting people. Crazy nonsense. So we got the 911 call. 911 calls mentioned. Mother asking for non-combative cops. We're now hearing more information about his background with sheriff departments and police departments. Now we are 2-0 with nefarious behavior, not complying with reports, lying in reports, defying an order to stop a high-speed chase, inappropriate business with that same woman from that chase, bothering her boyfriend in jail, leaving evidence out in the Auburn Police Department. What is next? Because this is not good. This is not good. This is not good at all. Rallies around the United States on behalf of Sonya Massey. That started Sunday. Different cities, New York, Chicago, Springfield, other cities. So far, I haven't heard anything negative happening. Amen. Because we don't need any more violence due to this situation. We don't need any more violence. Let's hear some more information. Lord have mercy. The girlfriend, she must be feeling mighty, mighty jacked up right now. 3 days ago. I'm trying to find the recent. Let me see. There's so many. Oh, okay, that's. Hold on, you guys. I'm trying to get the latest. I think this is the one I'm looking for. Yeah.
She was shot and killed earlier this month during an encounter with Sangamon County deputies. They responded to her house after reports of a possible prowler. Sonya's death has gained national attention after Illinois State Police released the body camera footage. Former Deputy Sean Grayson has since been fired from the department and is charged with murder in her death. County officials say they were not confused about if the gunshot that killed Sonya Massey was self-inflicted. This comes after confusion on the 911 dispatch about whether the gunshot was self-inflicted. News Channel 20's Julia joins us now with more. Julia?
Dawn, Stacey, that's right. Sangamon County says these new details come from their new website with information about Sonya Massey and the investigation into that deputy-involved shooting. County officials say that they were aware that the phrase self-inflicted was used by radio dispatchers on 911. Officials also say former Deputy Sean Grayson stated at least twice in the body camera video that he was the shooter.
They were saying it was self-inflicted. Initially,
let me go back. Hold on.
Well, we are continuing our coverage of the death of Sonya Massey. She was shot and killed earlier this month during an encounter with Sangamon County deputies. They responded to her house after reports of a possible prowler. Sonya's death has gained national attention after Illinois State Police released the body camera footage. Former Deputy Sean Grayson has since been fired from the department and is charged with murder in her death. County officials say they were not confused about if the gunshot that killed Sonya Massey was self-inflicted. This comes after confusion on the 911 dispatch about whether the gunshot was self-inflicted. News Channel 20's Julia Rosier joins us now with more. Julia?
Well, let me interject there. So officials say we were not confused about who shot Miss Massey. So basically they're saying they knew that Sean Grayson. Well, that's fine and dandy to say that now. You have to say that now, of course, because the family has a different version. There were people who told them that it was self-inflicted and that an intruder shot her. So this is what your officers were telling the family. And also they told nursing staff the same thing, one or two. They should have been saying anything. So Sangamon County, you all need to get it together. Come on now. It's bad enough the woman's murdered. Now you got officers telling different family members different versions. How about just don't say shit? Don't say nothing. The one time when you all should act brotherly, you couldn't even keep up the roots to do that. To just be quiet. Don't say nothing. Just say, ma'am, if you need information, sir, I cannot give you any personal information. You need to speak to a superior, a sergeant, a chief. They can enlighten you on what happened at that house. I can't speak on what happened. That's all you have to say. Instead of making up stuff. The truth is going to come out. And I don't care what anybody says. Body cam or not. Even if both didn't have on body cam, where was the 9mm gun going to come from that she shot herself? You can't shoot yourself 3 times. So there wasn't going to be a cover-up. There wasn't going to be a cover-up. Trust me. You can't shoot yourself 3 times. Then you'd have to have a gun. That's why you heard that one cop that came in. Hey, where's the gun? And Grayson said, oh, I shot her. She came with me with a pot of boiling water. Because that's what he's thinking. Oh, she must have had a gun for him to shoot her 3 times. So you couldn't cover that up. There's no covering up 3 times shot. There wasn't going to be a cover-up of an intruder because one already had his damn camera on. And if both had their cameras off, you would have to be the grandest cover-up known to man. Because where were you going to get a weapon? You going to plant one? Just saying. There wasn't going to be a cover-up. What's the problem is those officers had no business saying anything to the family. You had no right to say those things. You didn't want to tell them that Grayson shot her naturally for the obvious reason. You didn't want to say a cop shot her because then you knew they were going to say, well, what did she do? What did she do? And you weren't there. So you couldn't say. You'd have to be using his version. So that's why you shouldn't have said anything. You had no right to say anything.
Dawn, Stacey, that's right. Sangamon County says these new details come from their new website with information about Sonya Massey and the investigation into that deputy-involved shooting. County officials say that they were aware that the phrase self-inflicted was used by radio dispatchers on 911. Officials also say former Deputy Sean Grayson stated at least twice in the body camera video that he was the shooter.
They were saying it was self-inflicted. Initially, it was some intruder who did it, but they never said it was law enforcement who did it.
Sonia Massey's family said last week that calling it a self-inflicted incident was an attempt to cover up the shooting. County officials responded saying, quote, "We understood it to be a question by dispatchers initially, and that, quote, no cover-up has occurred." The sheriff's office is also calling on the Illinois State Police to investigate the claims on the scanner audio, suggesting that the cause of death was self-inflicted. Reporting live in Springfield, I'm Julia Rosier. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. The sheriff's office contacted Illinois State Police to take over the investigation at 1:42 a.m. on July 6th. And we are taking a live look now at Chicago. Attorney Ben Crump, who represents the Massey family, is about to hold a press conference. Crump and community leaders, they are right now, as you see, discussing updates on the investigation. Later tonight, a rally will be held in the city in honor of Sonia Massey. We'll be bringing you updates on these developments throughout the evening, on air and online at newschannel20.com. One of the topics of discussion at the press conference was expected to be a grievance filed by the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council. That council filed the grievance against Sangamon County Sheriff's Department on behalf of former Deputy Sean Grayson. However, the council has now announced it won't pursue the grievance, saying, quote, "We have arrived at the final stage of the process where a determination can be made regarding whether or not to proceed with Sean Grayson's grievance. The union has determined that it will not be proceeding any further."
So now the union will not be pursuing a grievance against Sangamon County Sheriff's Department. Of course not, because now you got too many people talking. You have now Auburn Sheriff Police Department, Logan County speaking. They've released audio, which you were against that, audio being leaked of him being reprimanded. So now you have two departments saying similar things about him, not following protocol, lying in his reports, being defunct with evidence, aggression with evidence, which I don't know what that's all about. I guess search and seizure, I guess. There's going to be more, probably. And all that's going to come out and play out in court. Now we'll wait to see when it go to court, who's actually going to tell the truth as far as somebody that works with him, such as other officers. Will somebody stand up and say, yeah, I noticed problems with him as an officer? Because we know that officers don't like to snitch on one another. They don't like to talk bad about their other comrades, even when they know that they're in the wrong. But see, that's the thing about that following in behind other cops. People don't really understand that. You know, you're trying to act like you're in the street. Well, if you want to be in the street, go hang in the street. Don't be a cop. You want to be a thug? Be a thug. Be a certified damn thug without a badge and a gun. See, that's the thing that people don't seem to understand about police, military, CIA. It's all the same. They are all human beings. Did you follow that? They're all human beings. This is why you don't put people on pedestals. Because everybody keeps saying the same thing. I get sick of hearing it. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. What you should have done, should have done, should have done. This shit's going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening even if they didn't have a criminal record. Had a clean background and went into police training, went into the military. It's going to all be the same. It's a human being you're dealing with. That's your damn problem. Sean is like a whole lot of people out here. He just don't give a fuck. I'll keep trying to tell people that. When you realize that you know what you're dealing with, it becomes easier to just cut their ass off. And I commend Logan County for being brutal and honest with him about his behavior. Hey, this ain't working out. Hey, how you think you're going to keep working? But see, that's the whole point. You hired him. And you had to hire him knowing his past with the military and the DUIs. Oh, also, they said he was bragging on the internet or whatever about drug issues or whatever he had. What the fuck? Who does that? See, this is what I'm telling you. There's something wrong with dude. But there's other people just like him. Just like you're going to have another Sonia Massey incident, sadly. There's going to be somebody else that's going to get brutally killed by a cop. It's going to be some brutality, excessive force, because you're dealing with human beings. That's the problem. Just like you got people out here hurting each other, killing each other, beating each other up, breaking into houses. It's the same thing with a cop. He's a human. She's a human. And they don't give a fuck. So whatever they're going on in their life, bad day, good day, don't like the job, ain't making enough money, Hey, that's a decision, personal decision. My thing is, I get tired of hearing excuses. He don't make enough money. She don't make enough money. Well, that's your fucking problem. You chose that job. I didn't tell you to go become a cop. I didn't tell you to become a school teacher. Everybody knows police officers, school teachers, social workers are the lowest paid professionals on the totem pole. Ain't nothing changed. You got to go work in a major city to try to command a decent pay, living wage. So it's a choice to become a social worker, police officer, school teacher. Don't do it. Put your talent somewhere else. No big deal. Somebody asked one of the cops, chief at another department, hey, do you think it was an issue that they just were a low amount of people to hire? That's why they hired Grayson. I guess he's like, well, it could be, but that you can't just hire anything off the street to be a cop, because you heard Grayson saying that in that audio. I don't have the experience. Well, you ain't gonna get the experience doing what you're doing. You're just doing anything. You know, he's that type of person that he just gets up. He don't care if he got on same color socks, same pair of shoes. That's Sean's attitude, the way it's playing out right now. He's just that guy that gets up, walks out the door, one red shoe, one blue shoe, a white sock, a black sock. Fuck it. I'm going to work. That's his attitude. So don't you find it interesting when he asked him in the audio, you know, do you understand what I'm saying to you about what you've done? And he's like, yes. And he's like, are you mad at me for what I'm saying to you? He says, no, I don't get angry. I said, I guess he felt like he can't get angry because he know he was doing what he wanted to do. He don't care. Sean is not any different than anybody else. He just so happened now to have murdered a woman. That's all. A lot of people walking around just like him. They don't care about anything. They are just breathing, walking around, trying to find their way in the world, or just moving along and really ain't trying to find nothing. They're just around. I think he's always wanted to be in an authoritative position. That's why he entered the military, but that didn't work on his behalf. He did a stint for security at a hospital. So there's your pattern right there. He wants to be in authority. And that's something we have seen with sociopaths and serial killers. Okay? Just throwing it out there. They always want to be in authority. So they choose professions where they can be in authority. And that's the military, that's private security, and that is police work. That's Sean Grayson. He's been looking for validation. He's been looking for validation all his life. And if you go back in the book of life, it has some people to testify on who he is and their interactions with him. You're probably going to hear that he was a bully. He bullied people. He threw his weight around because he's a big guy. He's a very tall guy. He probably harassed children growing up in school. He probably beat up a couple of people. He probably was just an ass. And in your mind, you're saying to yourself, well, why didn't he change? He didn't change because he didn't want to change. He became comfortable, just like the rest of us. We get used to being in that place that we're in. We find comfort in the bullshit. Let's keep it real. We find comfort in the bullshit. That's why we continue to do the fucked up shit that we do. I don't care what it is. Lying, stealing, manipulating, conning, drinking, getting high. It's all the same. That's why I said Sean is no different than anybody else out here. And I keep telling you all this. Every time I go live, I keep telling you, everybody is 2 seconds from becoming a true crime story. You just don't know it yet. You think he woke up thinking that he was going to be on the national news and incarcerated? You think when he got up that morning, he said, I'm getting ready to kill a black woman and I'm going to be the talk of the town. You think she thought that about herself? I'm going to get gunned down today. It's going to be my last time calling 911. And you would think with all these horrible stories and a person know they got a, let's say, a temperament to, pop off. Yeah, I better keep it cool because I know myself. I'm liable to go off. Yeah, I just saw that story. That guy, he's in jail. He just killed that guy, killed his neighbor, killed his co-worker, killed his boss. They don't care. And I think that was Sean's attitude. I think that's obvious now with what we're hearing with the police departments, him being just, he's just doing whatever he wants. They don't need a reason. They don't even need a motive. I once heard that many years ago. Somebody was talking about, the psychology of the brain and why people do what they do. They do it because they can. Point blank. I robbed the store because I could. I stole it out the store because I could. I defrauded those people, wrote a bad check because I could. That's the point. And that's the sad part of this story, is that there will be another Sean Grayson. There will be another Sonya Massey, because you're dealing with human beings. And you would think, as I just said, when people see these horrible stories on the news, you think to yourself, well, why isn't he or she thinking, hey, I don't want to end up a news story. Hey, I don't want to end up incarcerated with no bail, no bond. Naturally, the person who's getting assaulted, they don't want to end up dead or hurt either. But you got people walking around, they don't give a fuck. They don't care about anything. That's why you have all these crime. And you're hoping that one day a person will look at himself and herself and say, yeah, I know I'm a problem. I got issues. So I don't want to end up a news story. Let me get me some help. Let me try to better myself. Well, the world would be a whole lot better if everybody did that, right? But that's not how people are navigating. Sean Grayson was just riding the wave until July 6th. That's what happened. He was riding the wave. He didn't give two fucks about nothing. That's obvious. Because you see, he had problems before he met Sonya Massey on that fateful morning. That's the point. So if it wasn't Sonya, it probably was going to be somebody else. This is where critical thinking comes in. See, I always like to go in the belly of the beast. Because now that you're getting all these little tidbits of what he was doing over here, over there, the past 4 years, he was a busybody. The fact that he was bullying his own chief to sign off on calling DHS on some woman, some type of family dispute they were having. He's wanting the police involved in that. See, this is who he is. He's just a fucking bully. So if it wasn't Sonya Massey, it was going to be somebody else. That's what you need to understand. Her number was just called. And I'm not trying to be rude. It's a horrible way of saying it. But it was going to be somebody else. Because this guy was glutton for punishment. That's what you need to understand about this story. That with his past behavior, it's looking like he just was that guy. He didn't care about anybody because Sean does not care about himself. So when you have people who are walking around who don't care about themselves, they go out here and they get tangled up in shit. They're always in something. Trust me. I tell this story all the time. I know somebody like this. They're always in drama, and it's a grown-ass man. And you're telling yourself, what the fuck is wrong with you? Grow up. That's the worst type of person, in my opinion. A grown man that stays in stuff, that's, to me, more disturbing than a grown-ass woman that's still wrapped up in drama. 40, 50 years old, you're in drama. This is what I'm trying to make you understand. Sean is no different than anybody else. You take away the badge and the gun, he's a regular fuck up. If he wasn't a cop, he had drama wherever he was. It's always probably was something. If you start digging in that hole, I bet you a lot of people are going to start coming out. They're going to start telling you what it was like to work with him at the hospital, the security job, what happened there. Ding, 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 ding. Somebody going to start coming out from the military. Start spinning you some nice little stories. You're going to probably get some ex-girlfriends that's going to jump on the bandwagon and start telling you stuff. Here come the neighbor. Here come this person. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Because there's always going to be a version. It's just up to you if you believe it or not. But Sean is no different than anybody else. He's just wayward upstairs. He had problems. He jumped the gun. You should have just, asked the lady to put the pot down, not move forward with the gun. I believe that's what, made her pop off. Once she saw the gun, water come out, boom. Now we have a dead woman. Ma'am, put the pot down, please. Step away from the sink. Let's get your ID. We got things we got to do. Maybe she would have put the pot down and we would not be talking about this story, but that's not where we are. Thank you for joining me.
Continuing our team coverage now, the community voicing their concerns over the death of Sonya Massey. The U.S. Department of Justice held a community healing and listening session to ask the community feedback on how to improve police communication with the county. News Channel 20's Carolina Hassett joins us in studio with more on what officials had to say about as they face the public for the first time. Carolina?
That's right. Several Sangamon County officials facing the public for the first time since Massey's death. This included Sheriff Jack Campbell, who apologized and said that they failed her and to do their jobs. Organizers asked the community how they feel about the recent events that have occurred in Sangamon County and how they recommend improving police communications throughout the county. Many officials spoke at the event, including State's Attorney John Milhiser, who says his main priority is to keep people safe.
We do that by prosecuting cases in Sangamon County without fear or favor and holding accountable those who break the law. That is the impartial administration of justice, no matter who they are.
Milhiser said there needs to be more partnerships between the community and law enforcement in order to help keep people safe. Many residents spoke about being scared of law enforcement and are now fearful to call the police. Ward 2 Alderman Sean Gregory also spoke at the event, saying that it can't just be a conversation, there has to be action. In studio, I'm Carolina Hassett. Back to you.
Thanks, Carolina. We will have more for you tonight on News Channel 20 at 10 on what residents recommend when it comes to strengthening police communications in the county. We are learning more about Sean Grayson, the former deputy who shot Sonya Massey earlier this month, killing her. We've been in touch with law enforcement questioning their hiring practices that led to Grayson getting the job. Since the death of Sonya Massey, Grayson was fired from the sheriff's department and charged with first-degree murder, and now is awaiting his next court date. He has pleaded not guilty. Well, the shortage of police officers continues to be a problem nationwide.
Yeah, and some are concerned the recent shooting of Sonya Massey will make it harder to recruit new officers. News Channel 20's Julia Rosier has more.
That's right. I talked with two statewide agencies who are dedicated to the well-being of officers across the state. Now, they both tell me that departments are still struggling to recruit and retain police officers, sometimes even leading to some desperation hires.
I think certainly, we have instances like we just had, does not make it any easier. That certainly brings people to question, okay, well, do I really want to get into this profession?
The nation continues to experience a shortage of police officers.
It's scary. It's not always safe. Those are challenges that everybody's got to try to deal with in their own minds as to whether or not that's an experience that they want to go through in terms of being in law enforcement.
Both the Sheriff's Association and Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police say recruiting and maintaining officers isn't easy. Police departments have had to try new ways to recruit candidates, like using social media or developing relationships with candidates to show them what it's like to work at the department.
It's still tough getting out there trying to find qualified candidates. You just have to dig a little deeper, search a little harder, and change up the way you do things.
Some say although police recruitment is improving, agencies are still struggling to find qualified officers.
It's not a Monday through Friday job. You can't work remote. It's a challenging job where, a bad decision can
remote. That's funny.
ruin your life, ruin your career, But to go along with that, it's also a very rewarding career.
Both agencies say police departments always try to look for the best candidates possible.
Does a shortage of officers kind of lead to more desperation hiring?
I think it certainly, if you've got less of a pool of people to pull from, you've got less people to pull from. They still have to maintain certain minimum qualifications. You probably run the risk potentially of more people going into this profession that might have at one point in time not made it into this profession.
Exactly. Because he wasn't supposed to be in there.
At the Sheriff's Office, there is one vacant deputy position that's been open since the end of this past June. Sheriff Jack Campbell says although they are actively recruiting, they do have a smaller pool of applicants to choose from. Reporting live in Springfield, I'm Julia Rosier. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. Sheriff Campbell also says when a deputy leaves or retires, it can take up to 8 months before the position is filled and the deputy is out working on their own.
8 months,
Continuing
long
our
time.
team coverage, more information about Sean Grayson's disciplinary record and issues in law enforcement are coming to light. Today, we received an audio recording of a conversation between Sean Grayson and a Logan County Chief Deputy. News Channel 20's Carson Gordy joins us after scanning through documents and audio recordings. Carson?
The conversation happened after Sean Grayson was involved in a high-speed chase that ended with him hitting a deer. It happened in November 2022. Grayson had been a Logan County Sheriff Deputy for 7 months. During the conversation, Logan County Chief Deputy Nate Miller questioned Grayson about inaccuracies in his police report and said he thinks he knows why his previous employer, the Auburn Police Department, did not prosecute multiple of his cases arresting people.
Sean, I'm going to have a hard, straight-up conversation with you right now. I have a strong feeling I know why they were dropped. They dropped your cases because of what I'm looking at right here.
Oh my
You
God.
can't trust what you say and what you see. We can't have you in our uniform.
So he's talking about the district attorney dropped the cases? Wow. Road cop, most definitely. This is crazy.
He was employed for 5 months after this incident. Sangamon County hired Grayson right after he left Logan County. They said they were not provided these documents. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Well, they didn't want to tell on him, I guess.
Grayson worked at 4 other law enforcement agencies before being hired in Logan County.
Why not?
Meanwhile, a grievance was issued against the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department by the Fraternal Order of Police's Labor Council on behalf of Sean Grayson. After an internal evaluation, the council says they are no longer pursuing the grievance.
County officials say they were not confused about if the gunshot that killed Sonia Massey was self-inflicted. These details come from Sangamon County's website with information on the death of Sonia Massey. County officials say they are aware the phrase self-inflicted was used by radio dispatchers. Officials also say former Deputy Sean Grayson stated at least twice in the body camera footage that he was the shooter.
They were saying that
Well, he had a partner.
self-inflicted.
He couldn't lie.
Initially, it was some intruder who did it, but they never said it was law enforcement who did it.
County officials.
Let me stop here and I iterate one more time. I can't see the other cop going down for anything as far as trying to plant evidence or make it look like it was an intruder or that Miss Massey killed herself. As I said, you couldn't cover that up. Because a person, as I just said, if you shoot yourself in the head, mouth, chin, you can't reach for the gun and shoot yourself again 2 more times. So there wasn't going to be a cover-up. Now, why those officers said what they said to the family members at the hospital, whatever, that's their dumbasses, as I said. But they weren't going to be able to cover this up. Because as I said, you can't shoot yourself 3 times. And then the other guy had his body cam on. And as I said before, even if both didn't have their body cams on, I can't see them trying to cover this up. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. If they would be stupid enough to try it, and you'd be a fool. And as I said, when it comes to, as I said, want to be a road cop and acting like, gangster cops, one goes down, others will go down. And is it worth it? And I'm sure that other cop realized, hey, he took the shot. Yeah, I drew my gun too, but he took the 3 shots. I didn't. And he probably was afraid to shoot his damn self. He probably just took lead. So now you got to ask yourself, the other cop, how long has he been on the force? Has he been on the force longer at Sangamon County? Or is he a new recruit? What? Because I'm sure every day he beats himself up too, thinking, damn, why I had to be there? Why did I have to be right there with him? He probably got nervous himself, thinking, damn, I hope they don't try to indict me for murdering this lady. See, everybody has a time to reflect now. You don't really have an option. Whether he agrees with what Sean did or don't, you can best believe he has thought about his own fate. Jesus, please don't indict me as well. And even if he felt like what Sean did was right, he ain't never going to say it. I doubt it. Oh no, because he's worried about himself. And that's what's going to be interesting when it comes to trial, if it goes to trial, if the partner will say, yeah, I felt like what he did was wrong. He shouldn't have shot her 3 times. We shouldn't have drawn our guns. But we did, I did. Because I'm sure the prosecutor's going to ask him as well. Well, why did you draw your gun? It was just a pot of water. Why'd you draw your gun, sir? Number 2, why didn't you shoot, sir? What is his answer going to be? Well, I let Sean have the lead. You know what I'm saying? I let Sean have the lead. He had it. I let him have it. Because that's what he has to be prepared for now. Because he's going to be asked those questions in court. Number 1, why did you also draw your gun? Number 2, why didn't you shoot Miss Massey? What are his answers going to be? Very interesting.
Respondent saying, quote, we understood it to be a question by dispatchers initially, and quote, no cover-up has occurred. And we are taking a live look now at the rally in Chicago in honor of Sonya Massey. Earlier today, Ben Crump, the attorney representing the Massey family, held a news conference talking about updates to the investigation. We will bring you that update as soon as they become available.
We are continuing to work for you and dig deeper into the death of Sonya Massey. More information about former Deputy Sean Grayson's disciplinary records and issues in law enforcement are coming to light.
Yeah, Grayson is facing multiple charges, including first-degree murder in connection to Sonya's death. He has pled not guilty to all of his charges and is set to return to court in August.
And as we just mentioned, Grayson, more is coming out about his record and the issues in law enforcement.
That's right. Today, we obtained an audio recording of a conversation between Sean Grayson and a Logan County Chief Deputy.
News Channel 20's Carson Gordy joins us with what they reveal. Carson?
The conversation happened after Sean Grayson was involved in a high-speed chase that ended with him hitting a deer, damaging the squad car.
7 months on. How are you still employed by us? Sean, do you understand what I am saying?
Yes, I do, sir.
In November of 2022, then Logan County Deputy Sean Grayson had a meeting with the Chief Deputy, Nate Miller. It was over an incident that started with Grayson wanting to pull over a female who looked, in quote, suspicious.
100, she just took off on me. I just needed to wait for them to start the vehicle.
You were going to stop them for just their behavior in the vehicle?
No, I didn't. I was going to wait for a traffic violation, but in my mind, that was the whole reason I was going to see what they were doing. It was just the reaction of the female and the truck.
So here we go. What is the race of the woman in the car? Why did you want to pull her over? And then you hear he tell this superior, well, I was just going to wait to see if she committed a traffic violation. Lord have mercy. So, Sean, what was she doing in the car? What was she doing? Where was she parked? And what was she doing? What was she doing so suspicious that drew your attention to her? Is this woman white or is she black? Who is she? I'm curious.
Truck.
This led to a high-speed pursuit that Grayson was ordered to terminate.
Deer, damaging the squad car.
7 months on. How are you still employed by us?
Death of Sonya Massey. More information about former Deputy Sean Grayson's disciplinary records and issues in law enforcement are coming to light.
Yeah, Grayson is facing multiple charges, including first-degree murder in connection to Sonya's death. He has pled not guilty to all of his charges and is set to return to court in August.
And as we just mentioned, Grayson, more is coming out about his record and the issues in law enforcement.
That's right. Today, we obtained an audio recording of a conversation between Sean Grayson and a Logan County Chief Deputy.
News Channel 20's Carson Gordy joins us with what they reveal. Carson?
The conversation happened after Sean Grayson was involved in a high-speed chase that ended with him hitting a deer, damaging the squad car.
7 months on. How are you still employed by us? Sean, do you understand what I am saying?
Yes, I do, sir.
In November of 2022, then Logan County Deputy Sean Grayson had a meeting with the chief deputy, Nate Miller. It was over an incident that started with Grayson wanting to pull over a female who looked, in quote, suspicious.
100, she just took off on me. I just needed to wait for them to start the vehicle.
You were going to stop them for just their behavior in the vehicle?
No, I didn't. I was going to wait for a traffic violation, but in my mind, that was the whole reason I was going to see what they were doing. It was just the reaction of the female in the truck.
This led to a high-speed pursuit that Grayson was ordered to terminate.
For traffic.
He ignored that order, going as fast as 110 miles per hour before striking a deer.
Well, I'll definitely be terminated because a buck just smacked the side of my driver's side door.
After that event, Grayson was ordered to write a report that Logan County said had multiple inaccuracies. Grayson says he did not review the body cam footage before writing it.
You got a report writing violation for policy. You got an accuracy violation for policy. You got a standard of conduct violation for policy, and we're 48 seconds into this.
The chief deputy says that Grayson,
that's a lot.
while working at his previous job, the Auburn Police Department, arrested some people who were not prosecuted by the state's attorney.
Sean, I want to have a straight up conversation with you right now. I have a strong feeling I know why they were dropped.
3 people.
Cases because of what I'm looking at right here. We can't trust what you say and what you see. We can't have you in our uniform.
Grayson was warned that it's vital to be accurate.
But a lot of officers have been charged and end up in jail.
Yeah.
Because that's what they perceived. Official misconduct will land you in jail.
In the final report, Logan County did say that Grayson appeared to be honest during the interview and acknowledged his inability to recall from memory alone. Sangamon County hired Grayson after his tenure at Logan County.
So that's bothersome as well. Oh, Lord. He seems to have a memory problem. Is that true? What else could he say, I guess? I don't know. Where is this going? He seems to have a memory problem. Well, you know, a lot of people who lie can't remember things. And let me say that. Every liar I met couldn't remember what they said either or what they did. Oh, I don't remember doing that. I don't remember saying that. No, I don't recall that. So is it he has a memory problem, or he just don't want to own that he doesn't know what he's doing, or he doesn't care, or let me say, he didn't care to follow protocol. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think Sean is just one of those people. He's just rogue. He doesn't care. He's just living vicariously through the universe. I don't care to follow the protocol. I'm going to do what I want, when I want. You're going to like it. So what? So what? There are a lot of people like Sean. That's what people need to understand about the story. That's why we have these type of stories. Because he didn't care. Well, yeah. But don't you think it's interesting? Everybody that's talking has predicted this outcome. The mother was afraid. She wanted non-combative cops. So you got to ask yourself, why does she want that? That leads me to think there's something has happened with this woman before. Or you just think all cops are bad. I don't know. Then we got this superior saying, I don't know how you're still working here. This is how you end up in jail, blah, blah, blah. Now he's in jail. Then we have Miss Massey standing at the front door telling the same person, her killer, I'm scared. This is just role play. That finally came true. That finally came true. Because it's in the book. Speak it and it shall be so. Please look it up. It's in Psalms. This is why you have to be careful what you say. Period. You know? You have to be careful what you think. I was listening to somebody talking about that the other day. Thought process. So true. You got to be careful what you put in your brain. You got to be careful what you think about. You have to be careful what you watch, what you say. Oh, it was a young lady, she's a YouTuber. I was listening to her conversations about dreams and stuff. You have to be careful what you put in your brain, what you take in, what you allow people to say around you, what you put out to the universe from your tongue and what you do. Very true. Because you can claim shit. I can say that about my own self recently, about doing this nonsense up here. You have to be careful what you claim. You speak it into existence. They all spoke it. The only person that didn't really care was Sean Grayson. Don't you find it interesting? He probably never gave it another thought. He probably never gave it another thought what that guy had to say at Auburn, what the guy had to say at Logan's Sheriff Department. He ain't thinking about what Ms. Massey's saying on the porch. I think he realized something was off with her. And I'm going to tell you why I think they knew something was off with her. And a lot of people don't like hearing it. I don't really care. I speak my opinion. You don't have to agree. Because I always tell people, a lot of people can see things you can't see. I could tell it was bullshit the moment they got to the door. Even though I knew that she was going to be dead because they had already said she had died. But the vibe was off. I keep saying that, and I'm going to keep saying that because it's what I keep talking about, what you put into the universe. The vibe was off the moment they got there because you're dealing with different personalities. You got one person that's mentally ill and scared. She thinks somebody's outside, but I think there was never nobody outside. You got these people coming in, trying to assess the situation, and maybe they're frustrated, fucked up, mentally, whatever they were going through, the vibe was off. And that's why you always have a jump off. Every time. It's in the universe. There's always going to be some type of crazy ass jump off because you're dealing with human nature. And everybody's thinking something different than what the other person is thinking. And the way they were walking around the house, not walking around it, but just in that front room, looking that camera over into that room, I got a bad vibe about that. I thought, well, what are they looking for? Do they think somebody else is in there? Because that was strange. But one person on the commentary, Court TV or whatever, said, oh, they should have been looking in that room. Well, they don't know what they're going to see in there. Because you got some crazy shit that go on in people's houses. You don't know whose house you're walking into if you ain't never been in there. So they don't know. They just know, oh, well, she says it's a prowler. So, yeah, I'm going to, flash the flashlight in there just to see, somebody in there sleeping, whatever, just to make sure I know who's all in the house. And I found that interesting, too. They didn't even ask her, was anybody else in her house? I found that interesting. Because usually most cops will say, well, are you alone? Are you here alone? Or, sometimes they'll ask. It's all interesting. But the vibe was off. I could smell it as soon as he got there. And how long it took her to open the door, that still is troublesome to me. I was like, well, what's going on? I wonder why the person's not opening the door. I asked all the questions. Some people don't want to, talk about other things. I'm not that kind of person. No matter what I think of the story, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to ask questions about everybody involved. The victim, the cops, I'm going to ask, what was their mood? What were they thinking? Because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, well, what the hell were they thinking when they went to the door? What were they thinking once they got inside of the house? They would have never really went in there had Sean never asked again about that damn truck. That's what got them in the house. Because he said, oh, by the way, the truck, the windows on the truck, that's what got them inside. That's what led him to say, oh, well, let's get your ID. That's how all this bullshit got crunk. Fucking around with that dumbass truck out there and needing to see her ID. And the fact she couldn't find it, I think I would have just let it go right there before you even realized the pot was boiling. Hey, don't worry about it. As long as we know you're okay, call us back if you need us again. And I just walked out of there. But they didn't do that. That's the problem. I'd have just let it go. Once you couldn't find the ID, I wasn't even worried about it. Just fuck it. Just let it be.
They said they were not provided these documents and were not aware of them. Both Sangamon County and Logan County did not comment on why they weren't exchanged when I reached out to them today. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Thank you, Carson. We will have the full audio recording of this meeting on our website, newschannel20.com. That was a rally in Chicago in honor of Sonya Massey from this evening. Sonya's family members, attorney Ben Crump, as well as Reverend Al Sharpton, were all in attendance, chanting Sonya's last words, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. This, they say, they want Sonya's death to be a catalyst for police reform.
Police union will
Attorney Ben Crump speaking to the public in the Chicago rally today. Civil rights activist, as we mentioned, Al Sharpton, also speaking there and continued to push for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. After the death of Sonya Massey, U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth has introduced a bill that would incentivize state attorneys' offices to allow other agencies to prosecute cases of police-involved use of deadly force. She says it would help eliminate conflict of interest. The senator said in a statement, in part, quote, factors such as close relationships between local prosecutors and police departments can hinder independent investigations and impact the pursuit of charges and more convictions. We reached out to Sangamon County to ask whether state's attorney John Milhiser would have a conflict of interest prosecuting Sean Grayson and whether they support another county handling this case.
Wow.
We have not heard back at this time. The community is voicing their concerns over the death of Sonya Massey. The U.S. Department of Justice held a community healing and listening session to ask the community feedback on how to improve police communication with the county.
News Channel 20's Carolina Hassett has more on what residents are saying.
Many residents saying they are scared of law enforcement and are now afraid to call the police, with many pleading for things to change.
I live alone. And even though I already prefer not to call the police, I'm definitely not calling them now.
Several residents voicing their concerns over the death of Sonya Massey, with many saying they live in fear.
I'm nervous to be here. I am anxious to stand in this room.
There's a white woman speaking.
Because people are afraid. And we're mad. And this should not be.
The U.S. Department of Justice
Wow.
asked the community how they feel about the recent events in Sangamon County and how they recommend improving police communications. Their recommendations included rebuilding trust by reviewing hiring and background check processes.
Something needs to change, and that change starts at the hiring process, which is built by
Exactly. The beginning.
Recommendations
Exactly.
mental health evaluations as well as drug testing for officers. But most importantly, the overall message was to vote for new law enforcement officials.
We have to provide transparency. So do what you need to do. Get up and down and vote.
Now, residents also asked that law enforcement be held to the same standard as other jobs, such as first responders, when it comes to the hiring process. In studio, I'm Carolina Hassett.
All right, ABC 20. Well, and that's the thing about this. WICS ABC is the source. We would naturally assume that they would be held to a higher standard in the hiring process. This is why this is such a bizarre case. He had no business going through training. That's number one. This is why I keep trying to tell everybody you have to start at the beginning of the story. The beginning of the story is not inside of Miss Massey's home. It's not the start of the story. The start of the story is hiring someone with DUI charges. That's the start of the story. This is why I keep saying everything has a jump off. That's why I was talking about George Floyd at the beginning of this live stream, to compare how everything's a cause and effect. If you go back and look at a story, there's always a jump off. There's always, yes, red flags that led to the incident. Usually there are. You have a person who had no business being a cop. Okay, that's the start of the story. He had no business going through training, point blank. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. How do you all feel about other agencies prosecuting cases, dealing with law enforcement? I think that's a pretty good idea. Conflict of interest, because we know that a lot of people like to stand with their own. District attorney, local police department, sheriff's department, they'll aid anything done by law enforcement. Ride the ride, not bring forward charges. So we let another agency handle it, outside agency. But we also know that it's still the same mentality for some people. They don't like to prosecute cops. Prosecutors don't like to prosecute cops. A lot of regular people don't want cops prosecuted. You have people who think like that until it's their turn. Until they're pulled over and manhandled, then it's a different ballgame. Because we have a lot of people who live like that. They don't really give a fuck about what you're going through, just so long as it's not them. But then when it's their turn, it's their sister, their brother, their kid, then it's, oh, we want something done. Hey, let's rally. A lot of people like that. You know. Sociopaths as well. Don't care. It's not about me. It's not my problem. They only care when it's about them, related to them. Then now they want the cavalry to come in. So hiring process is more strenuous. Mental evaluations, that means nothing. That don't mean shit, a mental evaluation. We already know you take a mental evaluation to become a cop, to become, you go in the military. So let's think about all the people that became a cop and went into the military, and they ended up being accused of nefarious crimes such as rape, sexual assault, thievery, drinking and driving, so on and so forth. I'll just let that sit right there. That mental evaluation don't mean shit. Everybody knows to answer the questions appropriately. You answer the questions according to what you think the masses would say. Everybody knows that. Do you report your coworker for stealing the pencils? Yes or no? Come on now. You know to say yes on the evaluation. Same standardized test you get on jobs. Damn 100-something damn questions and asked you in 3 or 4 different ways. You see your boss stealing money out of the register. Do you report your boss? Yes or no? Come on. The mental evaluation don't mean nothing. And even if you did it every 6 months, still can answer the questions the same way. I think you need to have a counseling session, not a survey. You need someone to sit down with he or she, and the superior has given his or her report of that person's job performance. They talk to the professional, the superior, sergeant, chief, whoever they talk to. They talk about their performance, what they could be doing better, and then you ask them questions personally. And I would also send them to a shrink after that evaluation of the job performance and let them talk to the shrink, and then let the shrink come back and tell us what they assess in his or her tone. See, I wouldn't let it be a one-step process, okay? Let's say every 6 months we have the law enforcement, we do evaluation on their behavior. We ask them personal questions. How you doing? How's your home life? Do you like the job? Are you happy? Those are the questions you should be asking. What would you change about the job? What do you like about the job? You ask them 50,000 fucking questions. Because at some point, when you keep asking the questions, eventually a person will become comfortable. They'll start talking. That's what you want. Now, number 2, we send them to the shrink. We let the shrink ask them the same damn questions. How are you doing today? How's work? Do you like your job? Everything working out okay? How do you feel about your boss? Do you all get along? You like your partner? How's your home life? Is this job affecting your home life? That's what you should be asking, because eventually you get the right one in there that likes to talk. He or she's going to tell on himself. Bingo card. See, there's always a way. Fuck that survey shit, that 100,000 questions. No. Let them see a shrink out the gate. Hey, we have a licensed psychiatrist. We're going to let you sit down with him or her, and they're going to just talk to you and ask you a few questions about the job. Why do you want to become a cop? So I would have a superior ask them personal questions in the hiring process, and then I'd let them see a shrink, and then we will decide from there if we want to have this person going through basic training or however you want to word it. Because checking A, B, C, D on a box on a sheet of paper, come on. Second grader knows how to do that. You need to hear the person talk. You need to hear their tone, how they feel. You having a great day today? Do you like your life? Are you happy? That's one question you definitely should ask a person. Point blank, eye to eye. Are you happy? Are you a happy person? you consider yourself a happy person, mediocre person? Do you anger easily? What pisses you off? What do you think about this job? What pisses you off? See, those are questions people wouldn't even be expecting somebody to ask. What's the old saying? Seek and ye shall find. Change the criteria. That's all you have to do. And I say this should be the new protocol for anybody entering into high-risk jobs, such as working with the government, police, military, government, CIA, all of it, Quantico, all that. It is time for you all to change the criteria of how you address the people who want to start training, because this might alleviate them even wasting their breath. And we also know you can have good people who are of a sound mind, but then they get in the job and they realize it sucks. And they just ride the wave. And that's when you also can have a problem person. They started out happy, content, but then along the way, they realize, don't like this job. It's really not me, but I'm just going to ride it out. That's a very dangerous place to be. And I think a lot of us have been there. You stayed on the job for the way, it looks good on paper. You needed a job. You needed money. You didn't want people to think ill of you for quitting. Why didn't you stay? Because I think a lot of people are not happy, period. How about that? They're not happy with or without the damn job. They may have a lot of personal problems. They may have a lot of personal baggage. And they're carrying that shit around, and it's lethal. And the one place you don't want a person with a lot of baggage is a police officer. Border patrol. CIA, government type work. FBI. Those are not the people you want on the job. But that's the thing. You can't read a person's mind. Because as I said, anybody can tell you anything in a hiring process, questionnaire. Hey, how you like it? Why do you want this job? Why you want to enter this field? They just give the standard. Oh, I've always wanted to be a cop. Oh, I've always wanted to be in the military. Yeah, my dad was in the military, blah, 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 blah. Don't mean it's true. Because words are cheap. And I think we've seen that in dealing with human beings. Words are just what they are. Words, letters. They don't have any significant meaning. Because you can tell a person anything. And people have been lied to. And I'm sure that when he went into this hiring process, he lied. He probably made these people think he was a happy person. He was getting on in his life. He was content. But he wasn't. So now you got to ask yourself, what type of personal life did he have before getting arrested? We learned that he's engaged to a young lady by the name of Isabel. What was their relationship like? How did he treat her? How did she treat him? How was he raised? Did he get along with his mother, father? Single parent, both parents, brothers, sisters? What do these other jobs have to say about Sean Grayson? Well, we also come to hear that he had a rogue attitude at these other jobs where he worked at the hospital during security. What was he doing in the military besides getting drunk? Stay woke. Any sexual offenses or allegations, but they never came to light. Just ask him. Because I think he's just a big ass bully. Just a big tall ass bully. A lump of flesh. Miserable as hell. And that's why he's where he is. Now, I didn't know all these things are going to come out about Mr. Grayson. Some might say, oh, I figured that because he shot her 3 times. Well, you entitled to your opinion. But I did not assume he was going to have this type of rhetoric spoken about him. And yes, it was excessive because you don't need to shoot a person 3 times. I say you shoot them 1 time with a 9mm, I doubt they're going to get up. Especially where he shot her. You ain't getting up after getting shot in the face or the head. You probably wouldn't get up if you got shot in the chest. Could have shot her easily in the arm, in the leg. Use a taser, but he chose not to. That's his choice. And he can't go back. He can't take it back. So how does Sean Grayson feel now, incarcerated with no bail? Where are his friends and family? Why haven't we heard from any of these people? No speaking to the public, the mother, the father, nobody. Does he have children? He has a fiance. Where is she? Why isn't she speaking? Her family, her father, who used to work for Sangamon County, chief deputy, sir. Where are you? You don't have anything to say about this case? Do you agree with what he did was right? Ms. Isabel, do you agree with what Sean did was right or wrong? How do you feel now? Because more than likely there will be no wedding this fall. Checkmate. No happy ending. No house with the, what do you call it? Picket fence. That's out. The registry, might as well take it down. Tell all your friends and family, save your money because we ain't getting married. My fiance has been charged with first-degree murder. The dream is gone. How does she feel about that? What are the friends and family members are saying? Is somebody going to come forward and speak on behalf of Sean Grayson? Because so far, I've heard nothing. My better half always says, go to Facebook, Queen, because that's where you get the real scoop. Lord have mercy. Ain't that the truth? As we say, as the Queen loves to say, shut your mouth. Because you go to Facebook, all type of snakes and creatures come jumping out. Good God Almighty. Let's go to the Queen's community page and listen at your answers on the post. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie 129 cash out. Okay. Is Sean Grayson racist? 64% yes, 7% no, 30% not sure. Would you think the same about Sean Grayson if he didn't have a past history of lying, not following orders, and military general discharge? 76% said yes, 15% no, 2% of you said you're not sure, 7% of you said don't care. FOP felt Sean Grayson audio should not have been released. I said yes. Yes means you all think they should have been. 71%, 21% no, 7% not sure. Might not have worded that correctly. Now the FOP backs out of a grievance for Sean Grayson to be reinstated, receive back pay. No comments on that. So, should Sangamon County Sheriff be fired? 68% yes, 16% no, 16% not sure. Once again, the mayor said she would not sign on to Sean Grayson being reinstated. Was that right? 92% of you said yes. 8% of you said it was wrong. Sean Grayson and partner were not at Sonya Massey's home the day before. That's new information because her son said he thought he recognized them, but allegedly they were not the same cops. Once again, should Sean be reinstated? Pay reimbursed. 5% yes, 90% no, 5% not sure. So to recap that information, he will not be reinstated. There will be no back pay because the FOP, the union, whomever, they have backed out of their grievance against Sangamon County. Why? What was it that made you all decide we're not going to go forward with this grievance? Because you got two other departments now speaking ill of him and his behavior, not following protocol, lying on reports, leaving evidence out, aggression in dealing with people, search, seizures, whatever. And God knows whatever else is going to come out. The past of history of DUIs before becoming a cop, deputy, because he should have never been hired. And as I've always said about jobs, they don't necessarily tell people the truth of what you did. So that's the problem we have here as well. The jobs didn't tell them, or did they not ask? So you got to ask that question too. Did Sangamon County ask the previous employers, why did he leave, or why do you think he left? How was he as a cop? Did you all ask? Because you're saying, oh, we didn't know anything about his past problems. Did you ask? Because if you didn't ask, maybe they weren't going to readily tell you, oh yeah, better watch him. Better be careful with him. So what we got here is just like the old dirty priests. Molest children, sexually assault children, and staff members, nuns, whomever, priests. Then we move them out once we get allegations against them. Is that what we have here? Police departments that just moved him along or moved somebody else along. Yeah, it ain't working out. Can't stay here. Bye. Move them out, push them out, or they leave on their own. However it goes, he still went from place to place to place to place to place. And now we have a dead woman. And as I was saying to someone in the chat, Skylar, this is where he was going to end up. That's why he is where he is. There was going to be a jump off. There was going to be some manhandling, woman handling, shootout. It was going to be something. And that was from his own doing. Because you see, he liked to lie on reports, not report what's the truth, not follow protocol, chasing somebody down a fucking highway in the dark. That's why he hit a deer. He's just roguish. So Sean was going to be in this predicament anyway. Just so happened to be with Sonya Massey. And you hear this all the time. There will be another one. Because you're dealing with people who are not equipped to deal with other human beings. And if they were not a cop, they would still have problems with other people. I bet you if you go in the book of life pertaining to Derek Chauvin, there are a lot of people who have some things to say about him that were not so nice. It's the same thing. Because I've been trying to weigh that. Is his past the reason, he got to this point to where he shot her? Is it relevant? Not relevant? Because like I said, I wasn't expecting to hear all this stuff about Sean Grayson. I didn't know what his past was or, what type of problems he had on his job. But many people will say, well, this is just an indicator. If you do this, what else are you capable of? And that's something I've always questioned about a person's behavior. Because as we hear people say, well, a liar don't make a thief don't make a liar, a thief and liar don't make a killer, but a killer usually is a thief and a liar. Checkmate. Because people progress. And that's the one thing you always have to remember about a pathological liar. They are the most dangerous. A thief, you know what to do with a thief, just don't be around them. But a liar, until they're caught, you don't know that they're a liar. Bingo card. Say it again, Quinn. You may not know that you're dealing with a liar, because I think many people can tell you a story that they've dealt with people that they had no idea they had been lying to them for years. Not, I found out he lied yesterday. Oh, I've been dealing with him 2 weeks. I found out he's a liar. People have found out they've been dealing with a liar 30, 50 years, 60 years, 20 years. So that's my point. And lying can lead to things such as what you have right here. Because one thing begets another. It's stair step. You're lying on reports. You're stalking people in the street. You're tampering with evidence, hiding evidence, planting evidence. You're leaving out evidence. And now you're a full-fledged murderer. Shall I say more? So was his past? Were those things he had done in his past at these police departments indicators of how he got to be at Miss Massey's home and become a murderer? You're entitled to your opinion. I'm going to check out here, but I thank you all for joining me. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Please check my community page for said updates, polls. Check the YouTube queue for my shorts. I will be doing some shorts after I check out of this live stream. I have some shorts, and they will be in shorts pertaining to the content that you heard during this live stream. Once again, prayers to Sonya's children, her parents, her family members, the community. This must be devastating for the community as well, because as you heard those people speaking during that rally to the government, the DOJ, and the chief of Sangamon County Police Department, Sheriff rather. I'm a woman and I'm afraid to call. And that's a terrible place for a human being to be, is to say they're afraid to call the police, because we need the police. That's why they're here. And when people talk about defunding the police, you sound stupid, because who are you going to get to man the streets? But I have learned in dealing with the police, it's a game. especially when you're dealing in residential type situations. You call in to complain about this. The first thing they tell you is, oh, it's a landlord problem. Call your landlord. And then you could have a people problem. And they do nothing about it. Just like I was right there up in Illinois, black woman being harassed by another business owner because he says her patrons were taking up parking spaces. So next thing you know, all you're hearing is the N-word, 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 live on cameras. Just ridiculous behavior. So what I said was the person who they're renting from, naturally, who owns the shopping center, you should handle the situation because you're taking rent from both people. So you should have went to him directly and said, I'm not going to have this kind of behavior. We're going to work out something about the parking spaces. All you have to do is put little bitty signs in front of the parking spaces, 2 or 3 designated for the dog business, and then the rest for the other people. And then everybody else has to park outside into the regular parking lot. All that could be alleviated. And then you put a sign up that says, this is for the dog grooming business. If you're not patronizing the business, your car will be towed. Boom, end of story. See, the owner of the building should put an end to that. But see, we don't have people who give a fuck. This is why I keep trying to tell people, everything you're hearing, all this with Sonya Massey, Sean Grayson, it goes down to human temperament. It's what you allow. No black woman should be harassed for a whole damn year by another business owner because her patrons, her hair business, they're parking their cars in his parking space. Well, the owner of the fucking building should say to both of them, we're going to designate parking spaces per business. We're going to give each of you 2 to 3 parking spaces so that way people know you're going to get your hair done, you park in the hair done parking space. You're going to get your dog groomed, then you go park your car in there. It ain't no dog grooming spaces, then you got to take your lazy ass over into the parking lot and walk with your damn dog. Because when I was listening to him talk about, well, they don't want to walk across the parking lot. Well, you might have 5 people bringing a damn dog in. Everybody can't park up front. It's a dog. Carry your dog. If it's a small dog, you carry the damn dog. What's the big deal? It's anywhere you go in life. You're not going to be able to get the parking space in front of the door. That's life. Walmart. Ding, 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 ding. The first few spaces are for who? The handicapped. Exactly. You're not going to always get a space up front. What are you going to do? Get mad? Block somebody's car in handicap? Because you don't want to walk? That's the point I'm trying to make in this live stream. Attitude. Everybody's got to calm down, get off your high horse, and try to act accordingly. Because this is what I'm talking about. This is how things become true crime. Name calling, name calling, name calling. Oh yeah, he beat her damn camera off of her front of her business. Ring camera. He's on camera beating her ring camera off with a hammer or something. Who does this? See, this is what I'm just saying. One thing begets another. And a whole year later, they finally arrest him. So the police, I blame you all as well. You're part of the problem. The owner of the building, he or she is a problem because they could have de-escalated the situation. So both of them, you all keep bickering back and forth. I won't renew your fucking lease. How about that? Ding, there you go. Police your interaction with these people. Some will say, well, you're racist because you got this black woman complaining you're not doing anything about this man. And hell, he ain't even white. He's, I think, Italian. But he feels self-entitled. Then the news people, they go talk to the wife. She's playing crazy. Oh, well, thank you for being interested in the story, but we don't have a comment. You're on camera now. Now everybody in town knows you like calling black people the N-word. That's not a look you should want for yourself. You're too old for that type of behavior. You all are old people. 60-something years old. You look like fools sitting here being filmed on camera calling people niggers. Come on, too old for that. But this is what I'm trying to explain to people. One thing begets another. Your behavior, how you speak to people, how you talk, how you respond. So just like we have a woman shot by the police, he has a bad past. It's no different than these people arguing about parking spaces. One thing begets another. Before you know it, you're knocking off a woman's camera, which is vandalism. He also got arrested finally, which he should have. Now the landlord should tell him, I won't be renewing your fucking lease because I cannot have you damaging property. And I don't care if you like him and his wife, I would tell them, you got to go. Take your business somewhere else because you cannot be harassing patrons and other business owners who are renting from me. So see, that's why I blame the business owner just as well, because she had to complain to the person that owns the shopping center. Hey, this man's been harassing my patrons about parking spaces. So the owner should have talked to both of them saying, well, we're not going to have this type of foolishness. This is a business. I'm going to designate spaces for your patrons to alleviate the problem. So the owner probably is just as wicked as that dog rumor guy, whoever he is. Feel free to go to my community page because that story is on my community page if you're interested. Everybody needs to just stay in their lane. That's what we need. We need more accountability for how we act, how we talk. We all got to do it. Because this is how you, as I said, you end up with a true crime story. Somebody gets mad about something somebody said or did. Next thing you know, somebody's pulling out a gun, a bat, a knife, and now we got a dead person. It's the world we live in. Once again, prayers for the Massey family. Thank you all so much for tuning into this network. Please check out my movie suggestions for this week. I have a few new movie suggestions. I might put up something for this weekend. Lord, the Queen has been watching some really crazy stuff. So tune in. I might try to put something up tomorrow for you all. If you all decide to stay in this weekend, you want to watch a little television, I'll put up a movie suggestion. Thank you, Skylar, Flora, One Step Closer, and Brooke. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. You have been listening to the Vault XL. Thank you.